Oh boy. All right. So I've been working on this for I don't even know how long. It's been months, really. Not active months. It's not like I've been sitting here every night for like 6 hours, like, oh, gotta build this. But it's like throughout my process, I've been slowly trying to put together this template for you guys to be able to use. So without further ado, I finally have the 2022 template primed and ready to go for you guys. Okay. I'm going to give you a brief rundown of how exactly this works so that you guys aren't in the dark. I don't just want to give it to you and be like, all right, go figure it out, because that doesn't really help anybody. So my goal is to keep this under 10 minutes because I really want to make sure that as many of you watch this as humanly possible so that you use this. It's going to help you infinite. You're going to be like, holy fucking shit. Thank you, Christian. I cannot believe I ever produced without this before. Holy fucking shit. All right. Let's jump into it. So this is my template. I actually have not started using it yet. I just finished putting on the final touches a couple minutes ago before making this video. But I will be saving it as my template and then using it from there. What I have been using is essentially the same exact thing, except it's my old template that, while I'm working in it, is essentially being transformed into exactly what this is right now. Okay, so in this template, we have 4 groups inside a master group. Now, this is called the submaster. Some of you are probably familiar with this, but this is essentially just where we're going to put our master chain instead of down here, because if we want to put in a reference track right here, we can do this, we can listen to it, and it's not going to be affected by our master chain. If we were to have it on our actual master track down here, then the reference track would be essentially being mastered twice. Once by the master that was already done on the audio file, and another time by our master chain going on right here. We don't want that. We don't want this track in this group. We want it outside of it. Therefore, we put our master chain in that group. All right. Next, we have a vocal group. This is if you have vocals in your track, just throw them up here. The key to this template is organization. Okay? Organization is the reason why this is so effective. I've never been faster at producing in my entire life. I'm so goddamn quick with it now, you wouldn't believe it. I can make a whole track in 2 hours if I need to. It's ridiculous, all because I know exactly where my things are going to go and why. It is more valuable than you could possibly imagine. If you have vocals, put them in here. Don't put them in intro, don't put them anywhere else. Put your vocals in the vocal group, okay? There is an audio and MIDI track in every single one of these. Just for convenience, you would obviously just drag and drop these, say that you wanted to, an acapella, and we would just pull this in, drop it right there, we're good to go. Cool, you got vocals. All right. Self-explanatory. Now we're in the intro, okay? The intro is, it's a little bit of a, trying to think of the word for it. This encapsulates more than just the intro. This is for the intro, the breakdown, the break, all this part, basically all the parts that aren't the build or the drop, okay? That's what should go in the intro group. So this is quite simply divided. We have intro drums and intro sounds. So intro drums is going to be, anything that has a percussion. So if you have a kick and a snare, it's going to go on tracks in intro drums, okay? If you have, honestly, I would do like kick FX, like a big boomy sound such as this. I would put that in drums as well. Intro sounds is going to be all of your synths, all of your FX, etc. Anything that is more easily classified as a sound. Here is why. We have this sidechain module on intro sounds. We don't want it on intro drums. That's going to get funky. This sidechain module comes from a build drum output. We'll get there in a second, okay? Sidechaining your build is super important, just like sidechaining your drop. For ease of use, we have a sidechain module right here so that all of your intro sounds are going to be sidechained when you turn that on. We're going to cover that shortly. So all your intro sounds go in here. I'll do like ambience. I think one of the most irritating things is when people have an FX group, it's like just put it in with the synths. And yeah, So all of that would go in here. So for example, what was I doing? Yeah, right here. So like, for example, one of these. Some people would put that in effects. I'm not putting that in effects. I'm putting that right fucking there in intro sounds. And I'm going to retitle it with the label that I think is appropriate, which is that, okay? So that's what's going to go in intro sounds. Now, build. This is also quite self-explanatory, except we have a little bit of a new guy there. We have build drums and we have build sounds. The build drums is going to be, you know, your snares, your kicks, any of the percussion that you're going to use in the drums. You got build shakers, put them in build drums. If you got, you know, whatever, just like a weird little percussion thingy going on in the background, build drums. Don't put it in build sounds, put it in build drums. If it's percussion, put it in build drums. Build sounds, this is for your sweeps, your risers. So for me, for example, I use similar risers in every single track. I have this guy right here. Where are we? I got this guy. That guy's going in build sounds. This white noise rise. That guy's going in build sounds. All that shit's going in build sounds, okay? This is exclusive for the build up. If the sounds are in the intro, it's probably better to organize them, you know, up in the intro sounds. That becomes a little bit subjective, whatever your preference is, right? But I, you know, try to keep it as exclusive as possible to the category. For organizational purposes, that's going to help you the most. Now, what's going on with this blue guy? All right, blue channels indicate the MIDI outputs. That's not quite correct. The blue channels indicate these guys, the external instruments sending MIDI data. Now, what are these sending MIDI data to? Well, these are going to the sidechain modules that we have here. Okay, so what this is doing, where is this going? Look right here. MIDI 2, build sounds. What about this guy? MIDI 2, intro sounds. This is going into these sidechain devices so that when you turn your sidechain on, we'll get to that hotkey in a second. When you turn your sidechain on, it's going to automatically sidechain with your main sidechain drum. Okay, so if you got like a main sidechain, or I'm sorry, a main build-up snare that's just going do 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 do. That's the one that you're going to want to have as your sidechain drum. Put it here. There's a simpler right there, so you could just drag and drop it in. Drag and drop your build instrument, your build snare, build kick and snare, build kick, whatever, and then let that do the sidechain, okay? That's what this guy's for. This is your main build drum. In fact, I'm going to, boom, main build drum, right there. Now you know. Okay. And that is, once again, going to, you can go and see right here, it's going to build sound and intro sounds. You can see just by looking at the MIDI device, going to that CRM effects, which is my automatic sidechain guy, or automatic build sidechain guy module. All right, that is build. Drop. This is also very self-explanatory, except a little bit less so, a little bit more intricate. Drums is very straightforward. We have room for other drums. I'll put another intro track in here for convenience sake. We have our white noise ride. This is my custom white noise ride rack. A lot of you guys like this and use it from sessions and all that other stuff. Just an audio track if you want to put some other stuff in, convenience. We have a kick selector right here. So this is my kick selector rack. This was given months ago on the Patreon, but if you don't have it, it'll be in this template just so that you can pick whatever kick drum works best without really having to dig that far. You can customize this as well and resave the template. So if you have kick drums you like, you can drag and drop them in instead of using these ones. I juggle around these a lot, but I also do some other shit sometimes. So this is just for your convenience. Snare, there's no selector here. I don't have a snare selector. You could build one if you want, but it's essentially the same exact thing. Both of these are blue because they are sending that external instrument MIDI data again. However, these ones are not sending to these groups up here. That would be redundant. We're not going to be having any intro channels active or build channels active during our drop. That would be counterintuitive to our organizational practices, okay? If it's going on in the drop, it should not be in the intro. It should not be in the build. Make a separate channel, duplicate it, put it in the drop, okay? Put it in the drop category. That's how we're going to operate here. You're going to see that. This is sending MIDI data to the sidechain module here. As you can see, all of these are indicated with an SC right there. Sidechain, boom, sidechain, boom, sidechain. That's how you know that there is a sidechain module there, okay? So that's where these guys are going. One of these is going to the kick one, and the other one is going to the snare one. Okay, that's that. That's drums. Very, very straightforward, very simple. Sounds. This is the only one that's a little tiny bit complicated, okay? So what is going on here? So we have our sidechain guy right here. That's being affected by those drums, as I just discussed. We have an audio and MIDI track here for your convenience. And now, into Clipper. What the fuck is that? What is into Clipper? Well, this was covered in my further mixing practices video that I uploaded like a month ago. I'll try to remember to post a link to that in this post on Patreon after I get this video up. But what this is essentially doing is sounds that you want, sounds in your drop that you want to go into a hard clipper. They go in this group. Now, why would you want some sounds to go into a hard clipper? This is much more thoroughly covered in that video. I'd recommend watching it, but I'm going to briefly go over it here, just so you know you can kind of get the gist of it. Basically, they're going to be clipping against your sub, which is right here, which is going to create a very unique effect of distortion and clipping that is going to ultimately get you a cleaner sound out of this bus going up into your submaster. Okay, that's why this is here. All of these sounds are sounds that you would want to be pushed off of your sub, distorted off of your sub, clipped off of your sub. Remember, if you haven't seen my mixing and mastering video from forever ago, it's sub plus everything. Okay, so this is so that this stuff can be bounced off of the sub. Go watch that mixing video. It's more thoroughly going to discuss this. I don't want to get too far into it right here. So that's what this is doing here, and there's a clip shifter right here just so that process is expedited. All right, here's your sub. I have a maximal sub rack set up and loaded. You can either turn on clean or 808 right there, depending on what your preference is. Both of these are going to go into the sub power rack right here, so you can get the best sounding sub no matter what note you're playing. That's what that's for. And then finally a utility right here in case you need to make it louder and this is not doing the job for you. All right, so that's pretty much everything. Now let's go talk about the submaster right here. We have the basic master chain 2.1 right here for your convenience. There's also a G clip. This is the perfect time to start talking about hotkeys. There are 3 hotkeys in this project file. 1, 2, and 3 on the top number keys, okay? I don't know if numpad would work or not. Maybe if you turn off numlock. No, it doesn't seem like it. Okay, so top row, 1, 2, 3. That way, if you're on Mac, you can still use it. 1, what is 1 going to do? 1 is going to toggle off of our G clip and onto our basic master chain. Why do we have a G clip here? It's so that we get true sound clipping going on before anything else here. So this is essentially just true clipping. Your Ableton DAW does that anyway. If you're not familiar with that, go watch a video on it. I haven't made one, but there's plenty on YouTube. But essentially, this is cutting everything above 0 decibels, but it's doing it right here so that your track remains in the green instead of going red. If it goes red, then Ableton is just doing the clipping for you. It's completely redundant. Just leave this here. If you don't have this on, it's going to be the same exact thing as if you do have it on, but this makes sure that it's not clipping outside of Ableton. Yada, 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 whatever. Okay. Disable that and enable this with the 1 key, okay? For your convenience, in case you ever want to switch off of your master back onto a G clip to hear true sound. This, makes some changes with the low end controller and stuff. It just gives it a little bit of different optimization to your master. So that's there for your convenience. What is number 2? Number 2 is quite simple. Let's go down here. Let's see what number 2 does. Look at this guy. Boom. If you click the 2 key, you're going to activate the sidechain modules, all of them, okay? We go down here to the sounds, this guy turned on. We go up here to the intro, this guy turned on. 2 enables your sidechain, okay? That's going to be very useful because when you're down here in the drop group, say you're trying to lay a sound, for example. Let me put in a MIDI track. Let's go right here, and I'm going to put on a zero. Now, I'm going to press a key. As you can see, my MIDI keyboard is enabled, but listen, there's not going to be a sound. Wait, that's not correct. Why is it not doing it? There should not be a sound right now. I'm not sure why there is a sound. Okay, you're going to run into a glitch often where it's not going to make a sound. That is because the sidechain module right here defaults in the downward position. You can see that by opening it up right here. Look, this is where it begins. This is where the sidechain module begins, in the downward position at the volume 0 position. That is going to mean that when you're playing these notes on your keyboard, it's often not going to make a sound. The quick fix for that is simply disable your sidechain, do the shit that you want so you can hear what's going on, and then re-enable it. It's the quickest way to go about that. So that's how you do it. That's why you do it. That's what's going on right there. I already got rid of that other guy. Okay, and then lastly, what is 3? 3 is going to, down here, there's a mono switch right there. If you want to check your track in mono, which I would recommend doing quite often, flip that 3 key right there. It's going to turn on that mono switch. Everything's going to be in mono, including, if you have one, your reference track, because the mono switch is down here on the master. So that is why that is there, and it is extremely useful. So I would use that very, very often. All right, that is the gist of this template, but we're not quite done. What else is there to discuss? Well, how exactly do you use this in terms of organization? When I do this template, when I do all of my tracks, as you'll see in the project files that I have uploaded, as well as any project files that I'll be uploading in this new year, my organizational methods are extremely simple, and I would recommend that you use them the exact same way. I organize from top to bottom, meaning that if the sound comes in leftmost, meaning that it is earlier in the track, it is going to be up top. So say, for example, let me put in some new tracks here not to disrupt this template. By the way, if you want to recolor these, it's very simple. Just double click them, find the color you want, boom. And then if you want to make your clips that same color, just go like this, assign track color to clips. Boom. It's very easy to keep that organized. All right. Say, for example, that in my track, I have a top loop. And then after that, I want to go and have a bass loop. So it's going to be top loop and then bass loop. All right. The bass loop doesn't come in until right here. Well, I'm not going to organize it like this. This would not make sense. This comes in first. Therefore, this should be on top of this. I organize from left to right, top to bottom. So if it is further left, it is going to be on top. If it is further down, it is going to be on the bottom. Right? No. If it's further right, it is going to be on the bottom. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clear. You'll see it in my project files if you are not completely understanding what I'm talking about. That's the process, okay? I would strongly recommend doing that. The only area where I don't do that is drums, because I try to keep kick and snare right next to each other. I do high percussion up here above kick and snare, and you know, the little incidental things like crashes and stuff kind of just like float in the middle. That's the only group that I don't really do that top to bottom, left to right organizational process in. Everything else, that's exactly what I'm doing, okay? So I'm pretty sure I covered all the bases. Let's see, how long did this take? 18 minutes, damn, twice as long. All right, it's worth it. You got to make sure that, I mean, at this point, you already saw the video if you're listening. Whatever. All right, regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this template. I spent so much time on this process, not just the template itself, the process, to make sure that it was absolutely perfect. I promise you that it works. I promise you it'll be super effective. I get so many client projects that are all over the place, and I'm like, how the fuck do you know where anything is? How the fuck do you work in this? I have no idea how you mix shit. I have no idea how you master shit. Organize your tracks using this template. Title every single track. Organize your shit. And I guarantee you're going to be a better producer within a week. Within 1 week. That's it. Like, twice as good. Easily. All right? Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a happy new year. I'm going to be uploading some other content throughout the rest of the day. And yeah, that's it. Coach out. Peace, guys.